worked in the education system for 14 years. There's 110,000 high schools in America. The majority of them are in New York, Florida, Texas, and California. Our reading and math scores are the worst in the G7 and the G20 in terms of how many dollars we spend to advance our children.
Okay.
Why? Unions. Unions that keep mediocre teachers in place in every high school in America when we should be firing them. You want to talk about whack as our theme tonight's show? I would like to fire teachers that don't... Wait. And I'd like to pay a lot more to the teachers that advance math and reading scores that push our system forward against every G7, G20 country. We have broken the system long ago through unions, and this is very unpopular.
But what are those cuts actually
What it means is
impact
the lowest paid person in America that deserves a lot more money is a great teacher.
I agree, as a former teacher.
And we can't, in the system of unions in America, we keep mediocrity festering, destroying the education of children.
Let me just tell you.
But we're talking about the cuts to the Department of Education. I don't think those are directly...
No. You're cutting out the federal mandate and giving it to the state.
They're cutting the bureaucracy.
Yes.
I don't think they're cutting the money. They want to send the money directly to the states.
That's it.
Respectfully, if this bureaucracy that is in place now at the federal and state level, no matter what state you're talking about, we're doing such a bang-up job, we wouldn't have these terrible reading scores. We wouldn't have these terrible math and science scores. Something is broken, and there's one more issue that no one's talking about, and that is the issue of truancy. We've got 30+% truancy rates in some places. Not only can these kids not read, we cannot even find them. The bureaucracy has
So Trump did a video recently about Trump's plan to dismantle the Department of Education. It seemed like he started as of time of me making this video. Nearly half of the staff should be eliminated by Tuesday night, which is the day I'm not publishing. So it already happened. Education department staff expected to be slashed by half as Trump malls closing it. Education department staff had been told not to come into work on Wednesday as speculation swirls about whether Trump will shutter the department. All offices will be temporarily closed for security reasons starting Tuesday evening, and staff are instructed to take their laptops with them and leave their office building at 6 p.m. according to a memo sent to all education department staffs. Also, reduction in force notice for the education department staff are expected to go out at 6 p.m., and nearly half the department is expected to be eliminated, according to CMO4. The office building are scheduled to reopen on Thursday, but the move is reportedly an unusual one for the department. The memo to staff came as Trump administration malls shutting down the education department last week. The draft of a potential executive order closing the department circulated. The draft would direct Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Education Department to the maximum extent appropriate and permitted by law. Now, I'm going to end it there. And as you saw from the intro, you saw many people try to defend the education system. They're trying to say, oh, look, I think Sellers made this point. He said that the bottom 10 states don't have teachers unions. So to kind of go back against this point that Kevin O'Leary was pointing out about how teacher unions create bad education. And I think Bakari Sellers and many people who agree with him missed the point. The point is, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. If you have an incentive structure where you're protecting the not least qualified, you're protecting people that gives you bad results, you're creating an incentive structure where you discourage high-performing, good teachers from actually doing the job because it's not worth it. They're not going to get any benefit from it, right? In the private sector, it operates on merit-based pay. The teachers unions have facilitated an environment where merit-based pay isn't a thing. It's based on seniority. If you go to academia, it's based on seniority. Oh, I've been working as a teacher in this school district for 5 years. I get paid a certain amount. It's already set. It's a tiered system based on how many years you've been a teacher, not based on your output, not based on your work, and not based on your merit. And that incentive is going to discourage people from actually giving a good education to our students. And this is what I'm talking about. People who complain about teachers not getting paid enough. This is why the teachers are not getting paid enough. Because all the money we're filtering in is mostly going to administration. They don't want to bring up that point, though. You got administrators that have nothing to do with the execution of the curriculum getting paid more than the actual people in the bottom. But you want us to funnel more money into the problem. At the end of the day, putting more money into our education is like throwing money into a fire. It's all going to go to waste. And what conservatives have been saying about our education system is we need to change the process. We need to change how we do things in the education system. Let's introduce merit-based pay. Let's create a system where you incentivize people to give you good outcomes, to deliver for the American people. And you heard it there first. The liberals panelists on that segment couldn't debate or couldn't push back on nothing. All they can do is wishful think. Oh, opportunities for kids. What opportunities? Look at the truancy rate, 30%. That means one in third students are not attending school. You don't know where they are? 76% of our students in America are educated in the government schools, the public school system. You got people, they know all the political slogans, they know all this stuff, yet it's baffling to me, honestly. Like, my brain hurts about like how bad our education system is, the outcomes. And we try to your way, leftists. If you look at the schedule since the Department of Education was created, the more money funneling into the education system, the less our education system has been able to keep up with the rest of the world. It's time to try something new. But you don't want to. Oh, it's not going to work. Merit-based pay don't work. You always find a problem, but you want to do the same old, same old. You talking about kids won't learn how to read. Oh, only ignorant people are cheering this on. What the hell are you talking about? Only ignorant people will sit here and defend a system with every observable metric being worse than the rest of the world. Only an ignorant person will do that. Sounds like the left is telling on themselves. But you're mad that I'm being happy for half the department being fired. And it's just like they said in the intro. It's not like they're taking the money and they're just going away with it. They're saying, hey, it's going to go down to a more localized level. It's just not going to be managed. And this is what the left is really mad about. They're mad that they can't manage the curriculum from their liberal ivory tower called Washington, D.C. Like, check out this clip. How can anyone defend the Department of Education when they're giving us outcomes like this? 76%, remember, 76% of American students are educated in the government school system. And this is the kind of outcomes that they're producing?
We're in the middle of a crisis in this country, and it's a crisis that, frankly, neither party is talking about or addressing enough right now. It is the crisis of educational achievement in America. This is a problem. 75% of our 8th graders, not just in Ohio, across the country, 75% of them can't do math at a proficient level. There was a 19-year-old girl who graduated last week who is suing the school she just graduated from last week, because she graduated with honors from high school and she can't read. There are now kids in other countries where English isn't even their first language, doing better on English proficiency than our own kids here. In China, today a kid in 7th grade here is the equivalent of a 3rd grader in China. In Singapore, an 8th grader here is equivalent to a 3rd grader in Singapore. That doesn't work. For the long run of the United States, this is a great existential risk to the future of our nation. And I refuse to just stand by and watch as China laughs at our gradual decay into oblivion. We're turning this ship around. And we're going to do it here in Ohio. We're going to lead the way to be the top state in the country and in the world to make sure that our kids have a world-class education in the basic subjects of math, reading, writing, critical thinking, physical education, and civic education right here in Ohio. We deserve to be the best in the world when educating our kids. Our kids deserve that very best.
Show me the results. Show me the results. All left-wing people. If status quo worked, explain the results of status quo. This is the results of status quo. This is the results of keeping the Department of Education the way it is. This is the result of giving teacher unions more money. Bakari Sellers already admitted that teacher unions and the things that they fight for, because I already told you, teacher unions, they don't fight for the interests of the parent and the students. They only fight for the interests of themselves, pretending that it's for the students, right? It don't matter. Like, we already established this, Bakari Sellers. You already established that teacher unions, it don't matter if you pay them or you don't pay them. It's not consequential to the result of the education system. Good. I'm glad you agree. So when they sit here threatening parents and students, oh, we're gonna walk out, we're gonna hold out. Just know it's just to allow them to survive on their job. Like, make it make sense. You get paid what? 9 months out of the year? And you get paid equivalent salary? Like, I like how people complain about teachers' pay, but they don't complain about the teachers' results. And they got all the excuses. Oh, we have to manage more students. There's a high student to teachers ratio. All this, all these excuses. But then I look at private school. I look at charter schools who essentially deal with the same thing. You have an argument if you're making a comparison with homeschooler and parents like me. Hey, Kenny, you only got to teach one kid, 2 kids max. But a teacher has to teach 30, 40 sometimes kids. And one teacher has to teach 40 kids. Okay, what's that excuse for private school? They have a better results than you. What's their excuse for the charter school? They have a better result than you. More excuses. Oh, they filter for the best students already. Kids coming from kids coming from wealthier parents tend to have better access to tutoring and education. That's why they perform so well. Okay, but that don't explain Asian students. It don't matter where you place an Asian student. The Asian student will be top of his class. Statistically, he is more likely to be top of his class than any other race. Asian students. Don't matter if it's public school, charter school, or private school. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? As a black man, right? I gave you a prime example. Kids in the same neighborhood, black kids in the same neighborhood, same social economic class. One kid goes to charter school, one kid goes to public school. They come from the same situation. The kid performs better in charter school. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But actively, at every corner, Democrats stand in the way of things that can they stand in the way of alternatives because they benefit from the status quo. That's the reality. Here's a quote. The experiment of controlling American education through the federal programs and dollars and the unaccountable bureaucrats. This is why I said Democrats are a party of the bureaucrats. Democrats are the party of bureaucracy, not democracy, bureaucracy. Those programs and dollars support and has failed our children, our teachers, and our families to draft red. Teachers should be the most mad about this. How is administrators who are less crucial, who are less, needed in the services, they soak up most of the money and most of the funds? Look at the administration. And that's why a lot of teachers, they try to move up into administration because that's where all the money's at. If you want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, a lot of these teacher unions, they should be like, yo, we need to cut down on the administrative. The administrators, they don't offer much values in proportion to the teacher. The teacher is what keeps the students coming into the school, not the administrators. The administrators are glorified managers. This is bureaucracy, the administrative state. I digress. You can tell I'm very passionate about education. Also last week, McMahon sent an email to staff promising to send education back to the state, saying Trump and the American people have tasked us with accomplishing the elimination of the bureaucratic bloat here at the education department, fueled by the fact that a lot of the money that we give, here, sign this petition to have teachers get paid more money, more funding for teachers using your property taxes. And then most of that money is going to the administrative state. Make it make sense. It's going to the principals. It's going to the superintendents. People so far away from the actual implementation and execution of the education of our kids. Make it make sense that you have kids in China that are more proficient in English. And English is not their official language. Make that make sense. How can you defend results like this? You can't. If someone was doing such a bad job, I'll fire them. Imagine you're a tutor. You paid a teacher to be your tutor for your kid. And your kid end up having these test results, these bad results. You will fire the tutor. So why are we not firing the Department of Education? Make it make sense. You can't justify this institution. And it's preposterous that every shape and form, Democrats seem to want to defend waste, fraud, and abuse. Why? Why? Because they want control. Waste, fraud, and abuse allow them to have control of these funds. They can funnel it to their little left-wing ideological groups to fuel protesters or fuel political ideology. They want to waste money on grants, $600 million in grants, and training teachers in diverse ideologies. All of them left-wing, but they call it diverse. Diverse ideology is the same tactic they use when they say, oh, look at all this all-black panel. It's diverse. No, it's not. You got all the panel is one skin color. That's not diverse. That's the same rhetoric. This is the little labeling they love to use. They do things that sound good, but it is not actually good, including social justice activism. Your kids can't read, but they know about social justice though, anti-racism, and recruiting teachers based on race. Closing the department will fall through with a key campaign promise that was met with cheer on the campaign trail. I say it all the time. I'm dying to get back to do this. We will ultimately eliminate the federal Department of Education, Trump said on September rally in Wisconsin. We will drain the government education swamp and stop the abuse of your taxpayer dollars to indoctrinate American youth with all sort of things that they don't want to have our youth hearing. Imagine. You just saw it in the clip, and I mentioned it numerous times. A girl cannot read. She graduated high school with honors. But she can't read or write. Now she's suing her school district. Alicia Ortez, a 19-year-old student attending the University of Connecticut, says she can't read or write. This is what Democrats are defending? These are the results? These are the outcomes you're defending? This is what people are talking about with waste, fraud, and abuse. Frustrations with the public schools reaches a boiling point over the last several years. During the pandemic, parents pleaded with schools to open the classrooms and stop requiring face masks on children. After COVID, parents lashed out over crippling learning loss, schools hiding children's gender identity changes, and teachers pushing controversial ideologies like CRT, critical race theory, that garbage concept. That's what they're wasting taxpayer money on. That's what they're spending their time doing stuff on. Chasing these fads. This is the party. This is the party of the Democrats. Democrats don't do things for your benefit. They do things for their own benefit. They do things because they want control. They want to control your education system. That's the true purpose of the Department of Education, to control education, to control what your kids are exposed to, because they want to control the future. What do automobiles, guns, and homeschooling all have in common that makes the liberal hate them? All these things reduce individual dependency on the government and on the grandiose scheme of other people's lives created by liberals and imposed by governments. It makes perfect sense. They want to impose stuff on you. They want to create a world, this liberal utopia where everyone believes the same stuff. Everyone's a liberal. That's the liberals' worldview. Everyone's a liberal. And how's the best approach to make everyone a liberal? You control education. Because the federal Department of Education is nothing more than a management arm of the government. And Trump says, hey, we don't want to manage education from the federal level. And liberals are mad. Because it was never about helping people. I'm exposing your political motives, liberals, leftists. It was never about helping people. It was always about control. That's why you love these educational institutions. You see this as a way of transferring your ideology, transferring your values onto kids. It goes back to a famous quote from the 80s, I believe. Socialists, they don't have children. They have your children. And I'll be damned if someone's going to have more influence over my kids than me. I'll be damned. And this is why I said homeschooling is my personal silent protest against the education system. Because at the end of the day, I don't agree with nothing the education system do. I think they do everything wrong. A lot of things is like what the worst thing to hear from the government is, I'm here to help, because they create an incentive structure where no one gets punished for being wrong. And that's what happened to our college system. This is why a lot of Gen Z is moving towards the trades, because they don't want to go to student loan debt for some worthless degree that may not even get the outcomes that they want. And they have no recourse to recoup the money that they lost, all the time wasted, all the time spent. Just to be a debt slave to the government. And then the Democrats will hold over student loan forgiveness as a cudgel, as a grift, as a bribe to get people dependent on them. And it goes back to my quote, and I want to end off the video with this. What do automobiles, guns, and homeschooling all have in common that makes the liberals hate them? All these things reduce individual dependence on the government. Do federal student loans create dependence on the government? Yes, it does. And that's why they hate school choice, because it flips the incentive on its head. The government's empowering you make the decisions, parents. We want to give you help funding to you make this. If you think it's best for your kid to go to a public school, go ahead. Here's the tax dollars. If you think it's good for your kids to go to private school, here, we empower you to make that decision. If you think your kids should go to charter school, here you go. Here's the tax money. You can take that anywhere you want. It takes the ability for the government to control where you put your kid at. But with the current system, how the current system is set up, it makes it hard for you to do alternative actions. They say, hey, it makes it easy for you to do this system where we control all the curriculum and we can put all our ideologies and filter it through this system. But if you want to leave the system, you have to pay double property tax on top of you personally paying out of your pocket to send your kids somewhere else. You might as well come here and pay it. You already pay for it. You might as well use it. Or else you're going to pay on double on top. How's that fair to an American? American wants something different. American don't believe what you're doing is you're using the system effectively, and we have no form of recourse. Trump is that form of recourse. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear your perspective on the education system and some of your thoughts on it in the matter. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. Share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.